Cole.
You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get down.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 279 of the Rotten Views podcast. We're almost back to 100% health. I'm not fully there yet, but this episode will sound much better than the last episode. So hopefully you guys stuck around for that episode and are here for this episode. If you're a new listener, if you're a returning listener, thank you for showing up each and every single week. If you're a new listener, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you for checking out this episode. And hopefully you'll stick around, check out the back catalog of other episodes, because we've done a lot of interesting, bad, good, silly movies, I guess you could say. But yeah, like I said, I'm feeling a lot better than what I did in the last episode. It was a little hard to get through that last episode, not gonna lie. Took a lot of editing, took a lot of time, and just a lot of focus, because my head and everything else was just driving me crazy upon even recording that and editing it all within like a 72-hour time span. This one's, we're back, we're getting a little bit ahead on track again. Hopefully I get this episode done, maybe get another episode done before this episode even drops. We'll have to wait and see though. It all depends on how timing works, so. But hopefully you guys had a good start to the new year so far. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the start. Hopefully you've been, doing something fun. Maybe playing some new video games, checking out some new movies, watching some sports, wrestling, whatever it might be. But hopefully it's just been a good start, and hopefully this new year will bring in a lot of good things. Like, hey, you want to buy some podcast merch, there's a link down below. If you want to start the new year off right, I'm just saying, there's that option there as well. Just letting you guys know. But before we do get talking about too many things, let's just jump right into the housekeeping like we like to do each and every single week.
Housekeeping?
Don't think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for a pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
So, like every time, every episode, if you want to help support this podcast, there's a lot of different options and a lot of different ways you could go about doing so. The first one is just, listen to the episodes, of course, whatever podcast platform you're listening to them on. Leave a like, leave a comment if you can. If there's a review or rating section, definitely leave one of those. If you're on iTunes, Apple, feel free to leave a written up review. If you're on Spotify, feel free to leave a star review. If you want to leave a 5-star, I appreciate that so much. If you want to leave something a little bit lower, that's fine too. Want to leave me a 1-star? That's fine. I have no witty combat for you today because, well, we're still not there yet. So feel free to wreck my new year if you want to just leave me a 1-star. That's fine. It's okay. I understand. But the main thing that you can do, no matter what podcast platform you're listening on, just hit that share button. Share on your X account, your Thread account, your TikTok account, whatever it might be. I said X, but I was just reading earlier today that apparently over here they're trying to get it banned for safety reasons. I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to news related stuff, so apparently there's some security issues with Elon Musk's X site, Twitter, whatever you might want to call it. So maybe you can't share it there, maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, if you could just hit the share button, share it with your friends, family, co-workers, loved ones, whatever it might be. Leave it on the TV for the dog to listen to, or the cat to listen to, or the hamster, the bearded dragon, or whatever pet you might have. Just leave it on TV so they can listen to it. We have a ton of episodes, and we've got a full catalog on YouTube as well. But I'm jumping ahead of things a little bit. If you want to keep in touch with me on any social media accounts at that type of sign, all the links are down below in the description. But you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, TikTok, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. If you want to check out the Rotten Views podcast Instagram page, it's up and live as well, where I do the On This Day in Horror posts each and every single day. You can also check out those postings on my YouTube channel as well, where I post those in the community tabs. I also post daily shorts. We have old episodes of the podcast dropping every single Monday, new gaming videos dropping every single Wednesday, and we are getting back into doing live streams as well. So definitely go subscribe over there, getting closer to that 1,000 mark, and feeling pretty good about it. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that content over there as well. If you want something to switch things up a little bit, maybe you want some wrestling related content, definitely go check out the CWC Canadian Wrestling Championship page. We have an Instagram page, we have a Facebook page, and a YouTube channel as well that we're running. So definitely go check out. I've been putting some work in on some shorts over there on the YouTube and Instagram side of things. So definitely go check it out. I'm just trying to grow the community over there as well. So it's been a fun little thing so far. And as always, if you want to help support the podcast or support what I do, check out the TeePublic link site down below. You can buy some podcast merch or buy some other art related merch. So definitely go check out those sites as well. And I think that's it for the housekeeping. I think I've touched on enough things at this moment. If you want to support me, like I said, just hit that share button. That means a lot to you. You don't actually have to spend any money on anything. Just hitting that share button and helping expand the community is enough to say thank you, to be honest with you. I'm not in it for the money. I'm just in it for the joy of creating the podcast, talking about movies, creating artwork, and all that fun stuff. The money side of things is just an extra little fun bonus, to be honest with you guys. But with that being said, let's get started on the movie at hand. You guys are here to listen to me talk about a movie called Bats from 1999. As I said last week, if you're an Amazon Prime user, you can definitely go check it out for free over there. It is on Prime. Like I said, it's from 1999. It's a horror sci-fi movie for an hour and 31-minute runtime. It's got 4.1 out of 10 on IMDb and a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. The old 19%. Apparently the budget was somewhere between $5.2 million to $6.5 million. It's distributed by Destination Films, a company I don't hear from or about at all anymore, to be honest with you guys. I kind of forgot it was even a thing. The description for this movie, read from IMDb: genetically mutated bats escape, and it's up to a bat expert and a local sheriff to stop them. Also, before I do get too far in the podcast, if you guys are a new listener, I talk about the movie from start to finish, hit all the points in between that interest me, so this is going to be a very spoiler-heavy episode. But then again, this movie's from the late 90s, so I don't want to hear any slack or complaints that I spoiled some things in the movie, because that's how I do my podcast. So if you don't like it, feel free to pause it now, go check out the movie, and then come back, or just listen to me talk about the movie, and I'll either make you want to watch the movie, or you'll be okay with skipping it. I leave that judgment call up to you at the end of the podcast. But back to the podcast at hand. The director for this one is Louis Marnoux. I probably butchered that last name. I'm really good about doing that, just so you guys are aware. But he was also the director for 1997's Radioactive, which we did that on the podcast. He was the director for 1999's Made Men. He was the director for 2012's Werewolf, The Beast Among Us, as well as the director for 2008's Roadkill 2. I feel like Roadkill 2 is an Australian trucker movie, but I could be wrong. I might be thinking of something else. The writer for this one is John Logan. He was the writer for 2012's Skyfall, the writer for 2004's The Aviator, the writer for 2011's Rango. I love that movie. I love that Johnny Depp animated lizard movie. Thought that was a lot of fun. He was also the writer for 2000's Gladiator. Of course, we're at that section where we're going to talk about a couple of the cast members in the movie. The first one we're going to talk about is the character of Dr. Sheila Casper, played by Deanna Myers, maybe, whatever. Anyways, she was Dizzy in 1997's Starship Troopers. She was also Carrie in 2004's Saw. She was Kara in 1996's Dragonheart, as well as Jane in 1995's Johnny Mnemonic. And the other cast member we're going to talk about is the sheriff, Emmett Kimsey, who's played by Lou Diamond Phillips. He was Cisco in 1998's The Big Hit. He was Angel Guzman in 1988's Stand and Deliver. He was Chavez in 1988's Young Guns, as well as Monfries in 1996, Courage Under Fire. I don't even know that movie, and I butchered that name, but that's fine. It's what I do. It's a trait that you guys enjoy with this podcast, or you just like to have a good laugh because I'm a dumbass sometimes. The tagline for this movie is pretty straightforward and simple: fear takes flight. Well, you know, it's true, because they're bats. They take flight. A fun little thing of trivia, apparently this production was produced in just over 5 months. The picture continues to hold one of the top spots for fastest produced 35mm feature films from script to screen to receive a wide release. I mean, it's pretty interesting how some of these movies can get like put out there really quickly. It all depends on, you know, the writing, how many scenes there are, different locations, all that stuff definitely has a factor in it. I'm assuming if you have more, like just a few locations that are all in the same area, it probably makes filming a lot easier because you don't have to break down the sets and you don't have to break down the equipment moving over to a different spot. I'm assuming. I know nothing about it. That's just my assumption, at least. What do I know? Not too much, probably. But with that being said, let's get started on the podcast at hand. Let's get ready to talk about the movie, because that's why you guys are here. You're here to listen to me talk about Bats from 1999. So, like I said earlier, this is going to be your last warning. I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish and hit all the points in between that interest me. So that means it's going to be a very spoiler-heavy episode. So if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1999, like I said, feel free to pause it now, go watch it for free on Prime, or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and I'll either make you really want to go watch it, or you'll be like, you know, it's okay, I'm okay with not seeing it. I leave that judgment call up to you, though, at the end of the day. So as always, if you're at home, hopefully you're comfy, hopefully you're warm, got some snacks, hopefully you're sitting back, relaxed. If you're maybe falling asleep to this, good on you. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. Hopefully it helps pass the hours a little bit. And like I know most of you guys and gals are, I know you're listening in the car going to work or going to school or going out to get groceries, whatever it might be, traveling. Just keep your eyes on the road, get to where you gotta go nice and safely. That way nobody gets hurt. And let's get started on the podcast episode at hand right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
the full moon of October is known as the Hunter's Moon. This October, the hunters will be out in force, filling the hungry sky. And you are the midnight snack.
We got the movie starting out. It's got like this kind of ominous style music. The intro credits are starting to come in. We see we're in Gallup, Texas, and we see shots of bats coming up here and there. And then we see this old car just driving down this road, going underneath this old, what looks to be maybe a train bridge. I'm not really too sure. We find out that inside the car is this guy named Quint and this other girl, and apparently they're probably stopping somewhere, you know, to get the groove on. But something touches Quint's hand as it's outside the car. And of course, we can hear the bats moving around in the darkness outside. Quint goes to the trunk of the car to go grab some stuff out of the trunk. I'm not sure what he's got. Maybe he's got some snacks. Got a couple brewskis that he's actually pulling out of the trunk. And we hear bats flying over the top. And we see a big shadow of a bat on the trunk of the hood, like a giant shadow of it. And Emma, the girl in the passenger seat, being like, Clint, can you come back in the car, please? Clint, why are you haven't been listening to me talk at all, have you? So I was right, it was a train bridge they were driving underneath, because then this train comes screeching over the bridge, and it spooks the giant mutated bats, because then the bats like start breaking the windshield of the car, and then we see the soft top roof of the car starting to get ripped apart, and bats are just going to town on Emma and Quint inside the car, to the point where Quint's like trying to fight the bat off, and he like pretty much pushes himself through the front window, and we can tell they're dead. They're definitely both dead. And then we just hear the sound of a bunch of bats just flying away, and the intro font style of the title, the bats. It's not anything special, but it's like hanging upside down and then it flops up, right? Yeah, it was alright. Could use maybe some bat designs in the font, but whatever, it's fine. And then we just cut to Dr. Sheila, who's making her way through a tight little cave area, looking for some bats, as she's working with her her buddy Jimmy, I believe is his name, Jimmy Sands. He's kind of like the computer whiz. He's watching all the computer systems as she's down inside the caves. And then she's like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you remind me to lay off the extra cheesecakes? He's like, yeah, you're talking to brother. I don't even mind if there's a little extra weight as long as it's in the right place. Anyways, Sheila gets farther down into the cave. And she's like, you might lose me for a couple minutes because I'm getting farther down here. And there's like, I don't know, a couple hundred bats just all freaking out on top of the cave. And apparently Jimmy doesn't really like bats, so Sheila's like, why are you working with me if you don't like bats? She's like, well, you know, it's not that I don't like bats, kind of, it's like I don't like bats. Then Jimmy's radio starts to static out, and it sounds like he's freaking out. So then Sheila's like, all right, I gotta get out of this cave. I gotta see what's going on with Jimmy. And by the time she gets out of the cave, we see this helicopter starting to slowly land at the spot they are. And it's kind of fucking up all their gear. There's stuff going all over the place. Dust and wind and sand going all over the place. So then as soon as the helicopter lands, Dr. Toby Hodge from the CDC comes out. And he's like, hey, doctor, we actually need your help. There's something weird going on. And then Jimmy's like, I never touched that girl. I promise I didn't do anything with her. I don't know why you're here. And Hodge is just like, no, don't worry about it. It's not a thing that we want to talk about. Anyways, we have an actual medical emergency that's going on, and it's all related to bats, and, you know, you're the best doctor around, so we need your help. So now we see this, like, makeshift looking airport in the desert area where Hodge and Dr. Sheila and Jimmy are all landing, and they're meeting up with Sheriff Kimsey. He's like, hey, guys, I'm glad you could make it here to help us out with this bat problem that we got. So we see Dr. Sheila and the sheriff in the truck together heading off to there, and he's like, so what you specialize in? She gives him the technical term. He's like, She's like, it's bats, sheriff. Don't worry, I specialize in bats. Apparently this town's so small that the city's hall's office is also the sheriff's office, and also where the town's doctor's been doing the medical examination for this dead body, which they take the sheet off the top of him, and the whole, like, chest and stomach area is completely gone. And Sheriff's like, yeah, there's kind of some word around town that, you know, kids think there's a whole satanic cult thing going on here, and this was like a sacrifice. I don't know what's going on here, to be honest with you guys. So Dr. Hodge is looking over the body, and then Sheila starts looking over the body and takes some, like, medical tools and pulls out this, like, claw out of the stomach of the body. And she's like, this is impossible. This is kind of bad. It only feeds on fruit and nectar. There's no possibility. This has to be some kind of weird hoax that this town's doing. There's no possible way that this bat or this species of bat would attack somebody. And then that's when Hodge shows some other pictures being like, there's been actually a lot of attacks. And then Sheila's like, bats don't actually attack people at all. There's got to be some other explanation for this. There's no way bats would just go around killing people for the sake of killing them. Then we find out from Dr. Alexander McCabe. He's one of the other doctors that's there with Hodge. Apparently these bats were his. They were brought over from Indonesia, and they're like an endangered flying fox species of bat. And that pisses off Sheila because, like, they're endangered. They shouldn't be brought over. They should be left out in their natural habitat to, you know, reproduce and all that other stuff. But then Dr. Hodge is like, you guys are freaking out a little bit too much. All right, we're here. The CDC's here to, you know, catch these bats before, you know, they contaminate any other bats or cause any other trouble. And she was like, what do you mean contaminate? She's like, well, we've been doing a little bit of tests on the bats, a little bit of mutations, and it might not be something that we fully have settled down yet. So she was all pissed off, being like, so you want me to help and find your infected guinea pigs? And Hodge speaks up to the guy and just exterminate them completely. Get rid of them 100%. Don't want to see them ever again. And we can see McCabe's kind of has like a little expression on his face, kind of a little shock, maybe. Maybe he doesn't want those mutated bats to be exterminated, essentially. And then we see the group of them going out to this farmer spot where they just got a police phone call, and we find the farmer draped across his fence posts and pretty much mauled to death. And Jimmy's like, well, this ain't gonna look good in the morning paper, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And then Amanda, the mayor, comes over to Emmett, being like, so what the hell's going on here, Sheriff? He's like, well, it's a little bit hard to explain. It seems like some bats have kind of been going on a killing spree. And then she was like, yeah, well, you kind of infected bats, and we're trying to get them captured and disposed of, and not really sure what you want to tell your people, but it's not really that good. Maybe stay inside. So then we see everyone having a meeting. Hodge is like, hey, so we just got some test results back from the teenagers that were killed by the bats. The good thing is, the virus inside the bats can't be transferred to humans. It can only be transferred to other bats. And McCabe or whatever speaks up. He's like, yeah, the virus was created just so that they would only travel through with their own species. And Sheila's like, what actually were you doing with the bats? He's like, classified stuff. Can't tell you. You're not classified enough for that. And then Sheila starts questioning McCabe, being like, you turned the bats into carnivores. And he's like, no, I made them omnivores so that my bats would be able to feed wherever you put them in the world. And she's like, why would you do that? He's like, well, I'm a scientist. That's what scientists do. Duh. So Jimmy works up this computer program to show what the bats are going to do once the area starts to get cold. Apparently, they're going to start to migrate. They'll be in New Orleans just in time for Mardi Gras. And Sheila's like, show them what's going to happen in about 6 months. And he shows them in 6 months, pretty much the whole map is going to be red and just full of these infected omnivorous bats. So it's getting to become nighttime. They've been out working all day, putting up these fish nets called mist nets. Sheriff and all the other guys start joking about them being fish nets. Anyways, we see Emmett, the sheriff, and Sheila standing on this bridge over this little waterway. He's like, blood on the moon, as he's looking up at the moon. It's not fully dark yet by any means, but the moon's a little bit red. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, my mama always said when there's blood on the moon, that means somebody's going to die. She's like, is that really an appropriate time to be talking about this when we're dealing with carnivore bats? He's like, sorry about that. And apparently find out Sheila was scared of bats when she was a kid, and then her dad drug her outside and explained everything that the bats do for the ecosystem and whatnot, and that kind of made her just bat crazy ever since, and she just wanted to learn and know anything about bats. Then as we're sitting on this bridge, one of the machines starts beeping, and Sheila goes to look at it and be like, yep, there's too many of them, let's get running. So they get running to the truck, and we just see hundreds upon hundreds of bats coming up over the hill and all flying towards them. So we see Sheila and Kimsey. They're now trapped in the sheriff's SUV, and this whole SUV is just being surrounded by bats. They're all just trying to break the glass, get in at any point in time. And I'm not sure how they're not breaking in yet, because they had no problem breaking into that car earlier. They broke through the windshield and everything, but it's fine. So then we have Sheila on the radio being like, these damn bats are not like anything we've ever seen before. They're trying to get in the damn truck. And then Sheriff Emmett, it's like, where's my damn keys? I can't find my damn keys anywhere. Of all the times that you would lose your keys, Sheriff, probably now is not the time to lose them. We see the bats slowly starting to get into the truck. They're biting the wiring. They're coming through the heating system. Sheila's kicking them through the floor panel, using a cigarette lighter to kind of burn them, to get them to go back where they came from, essentially. One of the bats gets into the truck and starts flying around. Sheila's got to kind of push it up against the window. Emmett takes out his gun and shoots the head off of it, essentially. And then Jimmy and one of the other sheriffs show up, and they're just looking over at the SUV being like, shit, what are we supposed to do? All these bats are all over the SUV. And then Jimmy's like, well, you gotta shoot them or something. So they point the gun, and all the bats just stop and look over at them being like, that can't be good at all. So we see all the bats flying at the police car now, and they all hit the windshield and fly up into the sky and fly past the moon and just disappear and go off into the darkness somewhere. And that's when we find out that the SUV actually rolled on one of the bat's wings, and now we have one of the bats actually stuck as a captured little pain in the ass creature. So then they put it inside this giant, rabbit cage, essentially. And Jimmy's like, Sheila, I've been thinking about this. I'm thinking we go to Antarctica. I've been looking into this. There's not one single bat up there. It's really goddamn cold, and there'll never be a single goddamn bat up there. So how about we just go up there? That way we're safe. We don't have to worry about these bats. That's when they then look over at the barn that's near where they're stationed, and we see two giant bats on top of the roof. And that's when Sheila's like, it's McKay's bat. Sheriff, you got your gun? By chance, can you just clip them in the wings so they can't fly away? And of course, this other car comes speeding up, and it scares the bats away. Emmett tries to shoot at them, but he misses them, of course, as they fly off into the darkness. And of course, the other car showing up is Dr. McCabe and Hodge. And he's like, you caught a bat. That's good. I can't wait to study it. And Sheila grabs the bat cage and be like, nah, we have other ideas for this one. Catch your own bat. So that's when Sheila has the idea to inject the bat with a tracking device, or a tracking bug, as Emmett likes to say. And Jimmy turns it on to the computer system because, hey, Sheriff, can you hold both of these wings on the bat? Because I don't want to touch the damn thing anymore. It's pretty strong. So Emmett does. He's like, well, I'm glad you are helping me. Thank you, Jimmy, because you suck. Anyways, Sheila's like, don't worry, the bug tracker won't actually hurt the bat either. So Emmett's like, oh, well, I'm glad the bat's going to be nice and fine, not hurt at all. So then as they're watching their little bugged bat fly away, the two giant McCabe bats come back in the scene and literally rip this bat into pieces. And Jimmy's like, oh, Houston, we got a problem. That didn't work out. So everyone runs over to where the dead carcass of the bat is. And Sheila's like, all right, so we're going to have to evacuate the whole town 100 miles to at least Mexico. And we're going to need more CDC members here for help because we're going to need a lot of man-force to deal with these bats. And then as they're walking away, Sheriff Emmett's like, hey, McCabe, you want to study the bat now? It's all yours. It's dead on the ground over there. So we cut to the town where we see this lady outside grabbing her laundry off the laundry line, clothesline. And of course, there's a bat moving around. And then we see this guy, Manny, who's working at the little restaurant. He hears a thud on the door, goes outside to check to see what the thud was. And the next thing we know, the outside of the door is completely full of bats. And we just hear him, dying and screaming. But everyone inside the diner apparently didn't hear shit. And then we see this bat literally crawling across the table as this guy's eating. And then he looks down and sees this mutated bat staring at him and being like, oh, wow, that's not good. This guy is now across the counter fighting this bat, and there's a kid literally on an arcade machine playing like 2 feet away from him and doesn't even listen or hear a thing, I guess. And then they get back to the city, and Sheriff Emmett and Dr. Sheila are like, what's everyone doing walking through the streets? And then they meet up with Mayor Amanda and like, I told everyone, and nobody wanted to listen. They just think they know everything. And that's when Sheila's like, I can hear the bats actually coming. And then we see 100 or so, probably a lot more, bats is coming down the main street, and everyone just running and screaming for their lives. We see, like, the deputy, he jumps through this glass door of this, like, diner or restaurant or bar, whatever it might be. And then he pulls out his gun as he's looking at all these bats. But, hey, you guys take it easy. Get back. Get back. As he doesn't feel, like, 3 bats climbing on the back of his jacket. Of course, he fires a couple shots, starts freaking out. And then we see all the other bats start pretty much pouncing on him. And blood starting to go all over the place. We see people in town just driving away with their cars, crashing into other cars, explosions happening all over the place. The sheriff and the mayor are trying to hide underneath his truck because by the looks of it, again, he lost his keys or misplaced his keys, so he can't get back in the goddamn truck. And we see Sheila inside this convenience store who's having like a one-on-one battle with this giant mutated bat. Or it could be a couple bats, I'm not really too sure. But she found a gun underneath the cash register, of course. It's Texas, somewhere over in that area. Of course, there's guns pretty much everywhere. Anyway, she shoots like 6 shots at the bat, misses every shot. So then she decides to run back outside where chaos is. So then we see another bar, and this bartender is literally running outside with a shotgun and starts blasting at the bats in the sky. But it doesn't really do any good. And then we cut back to Sheriff Emmett, who's hiding underneath the truck, shooting at some bats. He's killing a couple of them. And we find out the truck he's actually hiding underneath isn't actually his truck anyways. So I guess he was just trying to get into someone's random truck, which, for safety reasons, it's understandable. Anyways, that one bartender that was using the shotgun starts shooting a couple bats, and he's actually doing a good job. He's killing them. Anyways, he gets into the truck that the sheriff and mayor are hiding underneath, and Emmett's like, hey, mister, don't drive away. There's people underneath here. Anyways, he goes to drive away, and there's actually a bat already inside the truck, and he starts lunging at his throat, and next thing you know, that truck drives into another building. We see Sheila trying to go to the little booth that she's hiding in. She gets tackled by 2 of the mutated bats. And then out of nowhere, Hodge is tired of seeing her being attacked. So he runs out to go save her. And those 2 bats literally leave Sheila alone. They tackle Hodge to the ground. And then they slowly start to rip his throat out. It's now the next morning. We see the car is still on fire, debris all over the place. And the CDC showing up with their helicopter. A couple army trucks. Hummers, the whole nine, to essentially take on these bats. So we see the three of them, or the four of them actually. I forgot McCabe was still alive. We see Emmett, Dr. Sheila, and Jimmy and McCabe are all still in the city, or the town. And Jimmy's like, so this is a whole evacuation of the town, like, everyone, right? What the hell are we still doing here? And Emmett's like, well, I asked them to let us stay behind for a little bit, alright? So we can figure out what we're going to do for our next plan. And apparently the army has a certain way that they want to do it, and Jimmy's like, they're going to kill every single living creature in this damn county, but they're not even going to be able to kill a single bat because the bats are going to be gone by that time. So we see the group of them going to the school, and they're going to fortify it as strong as they can, And Emmett's like, it's not much of a school, but, it's not too bad for a one-horse town school, huh? I think we can set up in the science room, and we'll get everything going. And apparently Emmett was also talking about there's some satellite that's going to be flying overhead. They're shooting down an infrared laser beam to try and keep track of the bats, but apparently Sheila's got to keep an actual hands-on approach because the army wants to have a hands-off approach. So she's got to identify, I guess, the two main mutated bats. I'm not really sure what the whole game plan was at that point in time. So Emmett decides to put on some opera music, and Sheila comes over and be like, what's this? He gives the exact name. So she's like, oh, I'm impressed. You're a national opera fan. He's like, don't let anyone in the town know, though. Don't run me out on a rail. And Jimmy's walking around school listening to the speakers and looking up at the ceiling. He's like, huh. Then he comes into where Emmett is and points out and be like, you are a real sick individual. You know that, right? So then we have this opera music playing the whole time as they're like fortifying the school up with boards and chicken wire and electric fences and all this other random debris and stuff that they found in the town. So we see them putting the final touches on, and Jimmy's like, see, we're now secure as the animal. And Emmett's like, bad analogy there. And Jimmy's like, oh yeah, maybe we should put some garlic and stuff up too. Would that help, guys? Do you think garlic would help keep the bats away? So we see Jimmy, Emmett, and Sheila discussing what they're going to do with the bats. Emmett discussed about, like, poisoning them, and Jimmy's like, nah, the poison's not going to be strong enough. And to be honest with the bat poison's more lethal against humans than anything. And then that's when Jimmy's talking about something, and Sheila has the idea to freeze the bats to death because apparently once it hits 40, they go into hibernation, but once it hits 32, they'll freeze to death. And Emmett's like, well, how are we supposed to do that when we're in the middle of heat wave? So apparently they got the idea to get a bunch of like freezer units and put them all down the roosts where the bats are all sleeping at night, and hopefully that will be enough to essentially freeze them to death. So then Jimmy gets off the phone. He finds this unit that they can get that would actually like freeze Cairo in a minute or something, he said. And but they will only drop off at the entrance. So Sheila's like, all right, well, we're going to have to actually gear up and actually go into the roost. And he's like, what, all of us? She's like, no, don't worry, Jimmy. You're going to stay outside. You got to monitor our progress to make sure we're all okay. So don't worry about it. So we see Jimmy print off the final scans of where the bats all are. And they're looking over, and Sheila and Jimmy are like, there's no way that the bats are there because there's no caves around there. We've already been in that area. There's no caves in that area. And Emmett's like, no, I get it. There's no caves in the area, but that's why they're not hiding in a cave. They're actually hiding in the old mine that was just shut down recently near the national park. So we find out that McCabe was working in weapons development, and they've been working on this bat hybrid thing for decades now, because we see the army at this mine, and there's another head guy that shows up, maybe Dr. Swenbeck or whatever his name might be, and the major's like, all right, we'll go in when the morning is, that way it's a little bit safer, that way we know the bats are going to be sleeping, and the other guy's like, nah, we're going to go in now because we're not going to wait around at all. Because it's my project, and I'm telling you, we're going to go in now. We're going to go in now. That's when we see the army moving, and they're getting ready to move this giant cooling agent. And, of course, as they're doing all this work, one of the soldiers looks up in the sky, and we see the whole moon disappearing because all the bats are flying back to the roost. So Jimmy's like, so is there any other entrances to this cave? Because the three of them are discussing the plan and how the entry is and whatnot. And Emmett's like, no, as far as I know, this entrance that the bats are using is the only entrance that's ever been used in this mine shaft. And Jimmy's like, well, it's going to be nice and easy then. And then McCabe speaks up, so he's like, no, well, the bats will know you're there, because I know, because it's my test subject. And then we hear one of the machines beeping and going off, and Sheila's like, well, how did the bats know that we're here? He's like, well, I called them here because, well, they're my bats. So then the bats started attacking all the power lines. And Sheila's like, those bats didn't escape from your lab, did you? Did they? He's like, well, very smart now, aren't you, Sheila? It took you long enough to figure that out, didn't you? So Emmett gets really pissed off at McKay. He's like, you guys don't understand the bats like I do. You just gotta control them. So then Sheila's like, well, why don't you control them? Why don't you make them stop before they kill us? And McKay just starts to giggle, being like, why would I want to do that? We see the bats slowly starting to break into the various windows of the school, trying to get through the fencing that they put up. And Jimmy gets this flamethrower going and just starts torching the windows. Let's torch the bats that are trying to get in. We then see Jimmy and Sheila running through the hallways because the bats are starting to break in more and more. And one of the bats actually lunges onto Jimmy's arm. Sheila gets it off and just starts stomping on it. At this time, Sheriff Emmett finally is able to get the gas generator in the basement of the school finally started to run, and he turns all the switches on to just start electrifying the whole walls and windows of the school to the point where the bats all just decide to actually leave them alone for once. Then after the bats all start to fly away, McCabe leaves the school because he wants to get away. And then as he runs out to the middle of the road, he actually hears the bats, the two main mutated ones, that he can apparently control. And they don't sound too happy. So then Sheila, Emmett, and Jimmy come outside and be like, McCabe, how about you walk back to the school nice and slowly? And McCabe's like, hey, can't you see? Can't you hear? They want me. They know I can control them. They love me. So he calls the bats over, and the one bat rips off his ear, the other one attacks his face, and then next thing you know, we have Emmett shooting the gun in the air to try to scare the bats off, but then more bats come in and just start ripping apart McCabe's body. It's now the morning, and we see them driving up to where the army was, to the roost of the bat cave or where the mine. And all we see is a bunch of broken machines and dead army people all over the place. And she was like, they tried it. They tried to go in last night. Instead of waiting till morning, they actually tried it. And, well, they all died because of it. So we hear a radio, or army radio walkie-talkie going off, and Emmett picks it up and talks to one of the sergeants. And apparently there's an airstrike coming in about an hour, and they won't hold off so that Emmett and Sheila can do the job like they want to with the freezing unit, because they just want to essentially come in and bomb the whole thing. So Emmett's like, all right, well, we got an hour to pretty much get this stuff done and get it done properly before that airstrike comes. So let's start hustling ass, guys, so we can get this done and out of here before the airstrike shows up. We see a fully geared up Emmett and Sheila getting ready to go down to the mine shaft, and Sheila's like, Jimmy, I need you to know that, like, if we don't get out here in time, you gotta get out here, blow everything, and just get to safety. He's like, don't worry about that. You guys are gonna be up here in time. Don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna get out of here all together. We see them taking the elevator down. They get to the bottom of the mine shaft, and there's 2 tunnels to go, but on the paperwork, it only shows 1 tunnel. And Sheriff Emmett's like, see those bones? Those are possum bones. There's no way a possum was down there. I'm assuming that was a midnight snack from one of these bats. I'm assuming they're probably down that tunnel way. So they're walking down that tunnel way, and they fall through the floor, and they land into this water area. It's about like chest high almost. And Sheriff Emmett's like, what's going on with this water system there? What is this? And Sheila's like, well, it's guano. He's like, you're kidding me. I'm not up to my chest and bash it. And Jimmy's like, ooh, that's nasty. That's nasty. So then they start following that pathway. And he's like, so wait, if there's that much bat crap down here, that means there must be a ton of bats, right? And they reach to the end of the tunnelway where we see the refrigeration unit hanging from the ceiling, and they look up, and you can't see anything but bats just all over the place. Jimmy's like, all right, you guys got to be real quiet right now. It's been about 15 minutes since you guys got down there. You got about 35 minutes to get that cooling unit on and get your ass back up top so we can get the hell out of here. So they go over to the refrigeration unit, and Emmett's like, so anybody know how to turn this unit on by chance? And Jimmy's like, you better not be asking me. Anyways, they go to turn it on, and then they find out they're missing the key to do so. So now they have to search all the dead soldiers that are on the ground. Hopefully that they're down there somewhere with the key. So Emmett finds a key on one of the soldiers. He's like, I'm hoping it's the right key. They turn it on, and we hear bats flying around a little bit, but they don't see where the bat is. It's just one bat flying around. The other ones are kind of still asleep. Anyways, they turn the machine on, and it slowly starts to, lower the temperature in the area. But then we see one of the mutated McCabe bats is kind of like stalking them. So they're like, all right, we got to just, keep slowly moving and get the hell out of this cave system before it's too late. So Emmett thinks the bat actually flew away, and Sheila's like, no, it's just circling as prey, it's a smart creature. So then Sheila's like, Jimmy, you know what we discussed, right? If we can't get out of here You gotta blow the entranceway, right? So the bats don't get out, okay? And then Emmett gets tackled in the back by the bat. And then, of course, Sheila gets tackled by the other bat. And then we see both of them trying to fight for their lives as they're fighting these mutated giant flying foxes. Sheila actually grabs a flare and pops it open and starts burning the bat in the face until it flies away. At this point, Sheriff Emmett has lost his special breathing helmet, and he's trying to hold back the bat. And he's holding it up high enough for Sheila to shoot at it, and she shoots it like 2 or 3 times, I think, at this point in time. We see them running out of the bat-infested cave, well, the guano section. They're running up a ladder, and then they're running down the actual mine shaft area. And they're asking Jimmy how much time's left, because they know the time's getting pretty close to being dead. It's at this point in time, though, all the other bats are waking up now, and they're all trying to fly out of the caves as well, because they're all trying to hunt down Sheriff Emmett and Dr. Sheila. We see them taking that service elevator up, and they get right to where the gate opens, and the bats break some of the wiring, so they jump out. We see the elevator shooting all the way down, killing a couple bats on the way as it goes, and then we see Jimmy on the radio still, and we see the army jets coming in the distance, getting ready to bomb the whole area. And then as soon as Sheila and Emmett get out of the exit of the mine shaft, Jimmy blows the whole mine shaft, and we just see the whole thing going up in smoke. And there's various spots all over the mining area that just blow up. Then we see them all lay on the ground, and Jimmy grabs the radio, being like, "Major, call your boys off. We destroyed the mine. It's all sealed off. Don't be firing any more missiles down here, Major. Major, we're outside the mines, and don't kill us, please." Then we see the 3 of them grabbing their stuff together, all getting ready to leave. And then we have a slow shot spanning around where the mine area is, looking at the debris and the various buildings that are left. And then we just see the ground slowly start to move a bit. And we see one of the mutated bats slowly crawling out from underneath the ground, where he then gets ran over by the truck as they're leaving the area. And the outro credits start to roll, and that's the end of the movie. I gotta say, it's not a bad movie. I enjoyed it. Thought the concept was pretty neat. The bat robotics are kind of different. Nothing major, like crazy good looking. It definitely gives me like a Ghoulies vibe. When I'm okay with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I love the Ghoulies movies, and the style of face designs that these bats have definitely remind me of that. And it's just a fun movie. It went by pretty quickly, and on the rotten scale of 10, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Like I said, it's nothing amazing by any means, but it's got a solid cast. It's got some good lines here and there, and the CGI for the bats isn't super crazy, but I do like the close-up robotic versions. I thought they're pretty neat and pretty fun, so I would definitely check it out and recommend it at least once, one time watch. You gotta watch it at least once, I think. Unless you have a big fear of bats, then maybe avoid it. But if you don't, then just go check it out. All right, so I finally decided what we're going to be watching for next week. This one is from 1993. You can also watch it on Amazon Prime if you're a Prime user. I know I've been using Prime a little bit more lately. Maybe we'll do a month where it's Prime, month where it's Tubi, month where it's something else. Anyways, for right now, this one is something I've been wanting to watch again for a while. I haven't watched it in probably like 10, maybe 15 years. We're watching The Dark Half. If I remember correctly, this is a Stephen King, George Romero combination movie. I remember watching it, like I said, a long time ago, and I've only seen it maybe 2-3 times ever. So I'm really looking forward to checking this one out again and fully paying attention to it and seeing how it is. So hopefully you guys will check that out. If not, just sit back, relax, and wait for me to talk about it next week if you don't want to see it ahead of time. But with that being said, make sure to check out the outro band, Toronto-based horror band, Blood Opera. All their links are down below. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. But if you're listening to this podcast episode right now on Spotify, they're linked directly to the episode. And as always, make sure to check out all my social media links down below as well at Typhonstein. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel where we drop old episodes of the podcast every single Monday, weekly game videos every single Wednesday. Got the community post over there as well as daily shorts and live streams. So definitely go check that out. Check out the CWC
Canadian Wrestling Championship page on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube for very short content. And make sure to check out the TeePublic link site down below if you want to help support the podcast, help support the artwork, help support me in general. If you want to buy some podcast merch, you want to buy some artwork in general, definitely go check out my TeePublic site link down in the description below of each and every single episode. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
Whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood for, if not for the shedding?
You used to play that childhood game, didn't you? The one where we chant his name. Was it true? Staring in the mirror, I can say, come to me. I can hear him calling back to me. Be my victim, Candyman, who will now say his name again. And then will appear, my whole world disappear. Was it for real this time, or a dream? Was it